Well, this morning we are blessed with the Beatitudes, and the word beatitude in the Hebrew is ashir, which means how happy. And so we're going to spend a little time doing a meditation on these Beatitudes and see how we can actually connect with them in our lives. They're not superficial, but actually they seem the opposite of happy when you think about it. It's things we're not looking for: sorrowing, poor in spirit, lowly, persecuted. But Jesus is moving us into the kingdom of God of the future, but is also giving us some direction of how to live in a very tough world in the present. They are moving us to spiritual joy. So let's reflect on them right now. First of all, how happy the poor in spirit, the reign of God is theirs. Involuntary diminishment of the ego is a fact of life. Medical diagnosis, loss of relationship, financial problems. Thomas Merton said, "It is darkness when nothing seems left of use that can please or comfort our own minds, when we seem to be useless and worthy and all on empty, when we seem to have failed, when we seem to be destroyed and devoured, then that deep and scared selfishness that is too close for us to identify is stripped away from our souls. It is in the darkness that we find true liberty. It is in the abandonment that we are made strong. This is the night which empties us and makes us pure." Then, how happy the sorrowing. Bitterness is pain which has not been transformed by wisdom. The sorrowing are people who have embraced their fate. Christopher Reeves, who played Superman in the movies, became paraplegic, and he was asked how he came to terms with this very difficult reality of his life. And he said, "Well, you play the hand you're dealt. I think the game's worthwhile." Viktor Frankl, reflecting on his own fateful experience in Auschwitz, believed that courageously taking up your cross adds dignity and deeper meaning to life. So if you'd like to say after me, "I am happy when I accept my poverty of spirit and work through my sorrow." How happy are the lowly? You know, Dante says a great flame follows a little spark. So we begin to appreciate the lowly things in our life. Great people who've done extraordinary feats, we only see their ending, but if you were to talk to them, they'd say the daily reality was ordinary humdrum struggle in which they were able to attain their achievement. Wordsworth said, "Wisdom is often nearer when we stoop than when we soar." And Mother Teresa said, we can do no great thing, but only small things with great love. I'm happy when I am identified with the lowly. And how happy are those who hunger and thirst for holiness? Thomas Merton said, "Do not look for rest in any pleasure, because you were not created for pleasure. You were created for spiritual joy. And if you don't know the difference between pleasure and spiritual joy, you haven't begun to live. Spiritual joy ignores suffering and laughs at it and even exploits to purify itself to the greatest obstacle, selfishness. I'm happy when I identify, so let us say, I am happy when I identify with the lowly and hunger for holiness. How happy are they who show compassion? A human being is part of a whole called by us the universe. It's limited space and time. We experience ourselves, our thoughts and feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. But our task is to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in all its beauty. As Albert Einstein said, I'm happy when I show compassion. How happy are the single-hearted? Lincoln Center patron gushed to Isaac Perlman, I'd give my life to play like that. And of course we know what Perlman's response was, I did. Have no real priorities but to live our lives as whole people, not weakened by divided loyalties. See, we're not happy because we're a mile wide and an inch deep. If you'd like to say with me, I am happy when I show compassion and act out of a single heart. Happy are the peacemakers. Franklin Roosevelt once said, we're faced with the preeminent fact that if civilization is to survive, we must cultivate the science of human relationship. The ability of people of all kinds to live together and work together in the same world at peace. Peace is at the heart of the gospel, and we can be present in the midst of much that is tumult if we have a spiritual value that moves us from the inside out rather than from the outside in. And we have, how happy are those persecuted and insulted for holiness' sake. Great loneliness and suffering are met creatively as potential growth experiences, only by surrendering to them fully and completely. Salvation, self-growth, lies in full assent to loneliness and suffering, accepting what it is, not fighting or resisting, not rationalizing or appealing to some external help, not demanding to know why one has been singled out for so much pain, but submitting oneself to the experience in a sense of total surrender. If you'd like to say with me, I am happy when I work for peace and am persecuted for faith, hope, and love. So we think of the Beatitudes as blessings. We see that God gives each of these blessings as a foretaste of our heavenly reward. God allows us to be poor in spirit, meek, hungering for righteousness, merciful, pure in heart, peacemakers, yes, even persecuted and mourning, because this is how we share in the life of Jesus, true happiness.